pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Convene as the Walworth County Plan and Zoning Board. Is there any old business? New business? Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I second it.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. I'd like to convene as the Walworth County Board of Zoning Adjustment. Is there any old business? New business? Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I second.
Got a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. I'd like to convene as a Board of County Commissioners. Approval of the agenda. I need one change to be done there. It's for in the jail. It's adding Don Connect to 1880 hour for part-time deputy sheriff. So, anything else? I'd take a motion to approve the agenda.
I so move.
We got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
A second. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Okay, public forum. Is there somebody that wants to speak?
Good morning. Thank you for letting me address the board this morning. First thing I'd like is to be explained to is why I was denied access to being put on the agenda today.
Because I just feel that we got enough going on, and I guess if you want to speak, you can speak in your 5 minutes that we have a public forum. I feel that that is enough time.
Okay. So somebody calls in and wants to speak on the agenda, you use your discretion, it's not up to the board to decide.
Sometimes, yes.
I thought it was for a 2/3 vote by the board to decide if something was going to be on the agenda.
Doesn't have to be.
Someone else calls in and you don't think they should be on the agenda, it's your discretion just to say no.
Can be.
I'd like the rest of the board to see what I had on my agenda for today. I guess in some instances, 5 minutes isn't enough time to talk about things. Maybe sometimes I don't need very long with my agenda items. They were just concerns that I had things I'm not allowed to speak during the meeting on agenda items. I would like to list what I would like to address the board on.
It's just how it is. I didn't make the rules.
And where is this rule at?
We've
Where would I find it printed, a rule that says
You know,
that
we've
you have
gone-
the authority to?
We've gone over this already, and you've talked to the people in Pier. So I guess I'm not gonna talk every week about it and every month about it. You've talked to the people down in Pier. What more can I tell you, Linda?
I would like you to tell me
You-
where it's written that
you-
you have the authority.
You talked to her, you talked to the people in Pier, you got your answer, you hung up on them, you probably didn't hear all the answer. That's,
Mr. Schilling, as chairman of this board, I did not ever hang up on anybody that I visited with on the phone.
are you gonna
So
talk
where is that
about,
coming from?
are you gonna move on with what you were talking?
Yes, because you're not gonna answer my question, so I might as well. I guess my concern on the landfill related items with the probation period coming to an end, I was wondering what the evaluation process was going to be used to decide if the auditor was going to stay on as the landfill supervisor.
That'll be up to the commission to do.
Okay. So are you evaluating anything that's been happening at the landfill?
I didn't
there
catch
been
that, what
no-
you said.
Pardon?
I didn't hear everything you said there.
I guess I'm not sure what you just said, but, there have been no landfill reports since the auditors
There-
go over at the landfill.
Really?
Yeah, there.
It's April, May,
Let's,
June.
let's move
You
on.
have them
I'm
all.
addressing the chairperson.
Yeah, just move on. The reports are there, so.
Just for clarification, the reports were on the desk last meeting, and nobody called to ask me where they were. I thought they knew where they were.
But commission, Mr. Chairman, the commission board did not have the landfill reports.
No, they were there.
Do you
They
have
got
the accounts
looked
receivable reports?
Do we?
Yes.
It's there,
You have them today in your reports?
probably. That's coming up at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Well, I looked at the landfill reports, they are not in there.
I thought there was none.
The accounts receivable reports,
No,
Mr. Chairman?
there was no landfill reports. You just said that, but now you're saying you looked at them.
I'm asking Mr. Chairman if the commission had those. I came in as a taxpayer and asked for them, I did receive them.
I said that it's at the end of the meeting. That's when we are gonna go over the landfill.
And so when I'm down in landfill public forum, then I'm not allowed to address anything that you have on the
You
agenda?
can talk all you want, but I mean, we're gonna talk about it when we get there, but if you wanna talk about it, you can talk.
And you're not gonna address any of my concerns at this time?
Truthfully, no. We will when we get there.
Okay. Then I guess I will just voice what my concerns are since you won't address them and I can't do it during the agenda, so. I do have the accounts receivable sheets and I would like to hand those out to the board because I feel those are important as far as what the entities owe the county. Those reports are no longer included in the monthly reports. So may I hand those out?
Hand it out.
And my other concern is, the interim landfill supervisor position is filled by the auditor at the moment. We have 2 full-time deputies in the office because of the workload. And now the deputies in the auditor's office are doing some of the paperwork for the landfill.
That's just probably your opinion of it.
No, it's not my opinion. That's a fact.
Ms. Beeman, if you have something that you need to address me about,
No, I'm not addressing the auditor, I'm addressing the chairman of the board. That's who I
know
address
everything
my
that, I
questions
know everything
to.
that's going on. That I can rest assured.
It's-
I'm not
so-
the only person that knows this.
That knows what?
What you're just making accusations about.
I'm not making an accusation, I'm stating a fact. It's not an accusation,
Okay,
it's a fact.
just, you said what you wanted to say about it. I mean, what do you want to hear? It's something that has to be done. If somebody's gone, I'm pretty sure everybody can take a vacation whenever they so desire. So you have somebody that has to fill that spot, no matter what it is, no matter who it is. Does that make sense?
For the department heads, yes. I don't believe the last landfill supervisor had anybody in the auditor's office doing his work when he was absent.
you don't know that either because I can guarantee you that I was.
See,
But we're really spending this much time on one piece of paper being
Are we
typed.
gonna move on?
because you don't know everything that happened, I'll just clarify that. If Ryan had somebody do something, I guess it's not the end of the world if somebody else from another office helps. So I guess I'm not gonna sit here and talk about this because the work has to be done. So we are gonna move on. I'm just gonna leave it at that. The work has to be done, and you find somebody to do it. Is what it is.
Okay, the next thing I had was the commissioner's assistant. I guess you probably pretty much know what my opinion is on having an assistant for the county commissioner.
Everybody can have an opinion.
Yes. And so I would like to just voice my opinion today if I can.
Well, I'm gonna give you about 2 more minutes, so.
Okay. I guess I feel the commissioners, when they were elected, the document that was handed out at the meeting that described the functions of a county assistant, those are pretty much the functions of an elected county commissioner. And I feel that's the job that they should be doing, that they were elected to do, and not have somebody that's appointed by the board doing those duties. And the other thing was on codified law, having draft minutes done, or the video is not up from the last meeting. Is there a reason that that's not on the official website?
There could be a reason. I'm pretty sure because it run out of minutes or whatever you call it on those things.
So that isn't checked to see, to make sure that the video is available?
Probably could have been. Was it looked over? Could have been. I'll just say the truth. If it got overlooked, what's a person supposed to do? Ground that person because maybe they didn't see that it was running out? I don't think it's the end of the world.
No, it's in codified law that it needs to be done, either that or draft minutes, and neither one of them are done again, and this isn't the first time this has occurred.
Do you have anything else?
No, that would be it for today.
Anybody else?
I just have one question. If an employee wants to talk to the commissioners or be put on the agenda, who has a right to turn them down?
Chairperson can.
The chairperson, but not their manager or their overseer? Because that has happened. Not the head of the office or the head of whatever.
I guess you're losing me. I'm not quite sure what you're saying.
Well, there was somebody from the landfill, and I heard this from them, that wanted to be put on the agenda, and they were told by the supervisor, no, they could not be.
There's whoever supervisor, usually how anything works, it's just like the highway department. You should talk to your supervisor. That's who
And
you
if you
should talk
get
to.
nowhere, I worked for a big company for 35 years. If you get nowhere with your supervisor, you are allowed to go over and above them.
I'm sure you can.
Okay, that's just my question.
You don't know what has occurred, Carolyn.
Anybody else? We move to 14. Consider motion to approve county commission minutes of July 2nd. Everybody had a chance to go over them?
There is new ones in front of all of you. I made a couple of changes to them. Eva had typed them up. It was too small errors.
If so, I'd take a motion to approve them.
I'll make that one.
Got a motion on the floor. I need a second. Got a second. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. So 15, consider motion to approve claims. Do I have a chance to go over them?
I so move.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I second that.
Got a second. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Consider motion to approve the county health nurse contract for 2020.
Let me see.
Should be the one
I
right
assume
here.
it's about the same as last year's.
37,050.
That was with the request of $37,742. $742.
I'll take a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any other discussion on that?
What's the percentage raise on it?
It was like 1.8. I'd have to go back one. It's not very much.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Jamie was gonna address this next item, so we may need to wait.
Okay, let's go past 17 until Jamie gets back here. Nyla.
Good morning.
Morning.
You should all have a copy of my report. Questions on it, let me know.
I'm gonna go ahead and put you on speakerphone, okay?
Who is it?
Alright. We are on the monthly treasurer's report, Mary.
I move for adoption.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Got a second. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Thanks,
Okay,
Nyla.
thank you.
Josh.
Good morning.
Morning.
Marcy. Yeah? We have him on our phone.
Any questions, Mr. Chairman?
No.
Okay, next item on the agenda, jail discussion. We've had some committee meetings, or a committee meeting, we had our second one today. It's just, we're in the planning stages of what we wanna do, if we wanna try and propose some ideas to some counties. The 6 counties anyway that we've projected or talked about. We're still trying to come up with numbers. It's a number issue. There was talk about holding off on the meetings and whatnot until we come up with a plan to present to them, which, you know, puts us out in time, obviously. And I know Mr. Hogard wanted to address that item also.
My point was, when we was having these meetings, we went over the average daily inmate total for these 6 counties. And most of them are less than 1 person a day. And, you know, we was trying to figure out, we got a 32-bed facility. And our daily average is 10 to 11. We should have about 1/3 of the responsibility of this thing. So if we try to go to these other 6 counties, or whoever, BIA or whoever is gonna be involved in it, doesn't it make sense that they should pick up 2/3 of it? So everybody is getting charged the same? And that's what we're having issues of between Marion and me are having issues with the other side to say they had a draft come up to have 50,000 per county for 20 years. Well, if you take, we was even figuring to throw a number out, if we put up a new facility for $6 million and it's 5% interest on it, that would, the 50,000 would cover the interest with nothing going to a payment. So are we any farther ahead? I just asked Josh if he could come up with some numbers that would make sense to me to go to these counties. If they have an average daily rate of less than 1 a day, are they gonna pay 50,000 to begin with? And if we're putting up a $6 million facility, and these are gonna have 2/3 of it, are they gonna be able to split $4 million between 6 counties? Are they thinking they would even be a possibility of that? I guarantee if I was on the commission on these counties, I would say, hell no, we can transport our 1 person a day out for a hell of a lot cheaper. So, to me, it didn't make sense with what was proposed. I was all for going to these counties and asking for $225,000 or something like that for bricks and mortars to help get started with this project. But to me, the numbers just do not add up. And I asked Josh to go back and try to come up with some numbers that would make sense, where people would actually be willing to sit down and talk about it. Because right now, the way I have it figured, there is no way possible that these counties would even think about being a part of this. So we're back to the problem, is Walworth County gonna be the one responsible for everybody else's problems? But what we do need to do is make a decision on how much money we're gonna put into this old piece of crap building that was told that we shouldn't be in there in the first place. And we need to decide that so we can budget for it in next year's budget. We need to quit hee-hawing around and actually make a decision on what the hell we're gonna do. If you wanna put up a new building, show me some numbers that can prove that we're not gonna be having to put it on the tax of the people. We had a vote last year, it was an overwhelming decision from the people to take care of our own people and not worry about other counties or other agencies' inmates. So it's up to you, but we do need to make a decision because we have budgets coming up. And if we're gonna put money into this, we need to get it budgeted. So how much are we gonna be willing to put into this old building? Are we even gonna look at putting up a new building? We're just gonna run with this one until it falls in.
I sort of like the sheriff's last plan he gave us, to give us a little time and money. That's what we got. Does need repair, but
Okay, part of the jail plans that he wants to do is put a new fire escape in and use the upstairs we was told we should not ever use that because those cells up there do not come anywhere close to the standards that it takes to use them and the liability of going up and down those stairs.
is that an issue? Would it be an issue if we had a new fire escape?
That would fix the issue of getting them out of there in the safety portion of it, yes. Right now, all the windows are padlocked. You'd have to open them from the inside and the outside because they're gated on both sides. Very big hazard to get them out. That's why I put that on there for the fire escape. That gives us an out and to get them out safely, and for our firemen, the fire department to do their job safely also.
That still doesn't take the reliability of getting them up that narrow, tall staircase to get them up there in the first place. Then when they do it, when they are up there, they got plastic shower stalls and toilets that do not come anywhere close to meeting the standards.
But the BIA approves of it, right?
No.
I mean, they inspect
The
it every year.
US Marshals and both BIA do their inspections.
Okay, and they still bring them, right?
Well, until we shut them off. We shut that portion off. We house the US Marshals on a very, very, very limited basis. If they arrest somebody on a warrant and they come and get them the next day or 2 days later. They're not in here for long periods of time like they were. But they have already gone through their inspection. Justin, you wanna add on to that, please?
Yeah, there's not much to add. They inspect it every year. Both of the entities do, and they approve it every year, I guess.
Say, Josh, this little sheet that you handed out here to me there, now, that was possibly 7 years.
Oh, do you have the new one, Scott? Well, it's still the same, you got the back sheet? Okay.
But and that's what you were looking at is the 20,000 and the 30,000, that's what you were
I wanted
to charge every year for, say, 7 years. Correct.
For whichever term that, if we decided to do a plan like that, yes. And I did the 7, 10, 15, and 20-year increments, just to show what the potential is there. You know, again, these are just numbers, we don't even know. I was trying to come up with something comfortable to where possibly all these would agree. And that was a brick and mortar, which we talked about. there's 20,000 built into that 30, is how I come up with that 50. And then a 95-day, $95 per day rate. The only person that possibly would go over that would be Corson County. We've, high 70s to even $80,000 if they paid out in a year for jail housing. So I mean, regardless, if they would go over the 30,000, most of them probably aren't. I'm not saying that number can't be adjusted. But what I am saying is, this is a plan, and again, these are just numbers. But we have to, obviously meet with these entities and see if they're on board with it before we have to give them a number also. And right now we're in budget, and it's kind of late in the game, so worst case scenario, this would, even be a year out, to properly give them budget time, like Kevin was talking about. And I'm still negotiating with U.S. Marshals yet. That is not a dead end deal yet. We're working on some stuff with them. I told Kevin that, and I talked with Scott. They did give me 3 offers. I rejected all 3 at this time. We're working on a 4th one. The hide, they went $70, $72, and $75 at the different terms.
75 at 48 months.
But like I said, that's still in negotiations. I rejected the first 3 because I didn't want to bring that back to the board, because we're trying to get up to be equal, to what everybody else is paying. So that's why, and I brought that up in our discussion. This has to pass the board also. So I am trying to work with the board.
Well, Kevin, what are you thinking of that, of the one where the 20 and 30?
If we're gonna put up a new facility, that doesn't even pay for the interest on it.
And I don't know what those numbers are gonna be like, and Kevin's gonna check into some stuff with one of the banks, and I'm gonna check with my 2 financial people that I've been talking with, and we've talked with them before. I mean, they government finance, so, and it's usually a reduced rate, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know what those rates are gonna be, if it's gonna be a 5% or a 2.3, I don't know. So.
My point is, I'm on the board, I disagreed with them. If you guys wanna run with it, I disagree with it, but it's a decision that we need to make. We need to make some of these decisions now so we can start budgeting for it. I disagreed with the numbers, but it's entirely up to the whole board, it ain't up to me.
And those are rough numbers. I don't have interest rates and stuff. Those numbers are not in there. I don't have those. And I already talked with Becky. One of those needs to get some numbers from the auditor, and we're waiting to get our audit report completed. Obviously, the main auditor retired, and she has to meet with the supervising auditor, whatever his title, supervising auditor. So, I mean, and I want to run one of the entities is at least to build, since that we're looking at a smaller number. I wanted to re-look at those numbers to let you guys see that, and that was with PFIC. It doesn't cost me anything to run those numbers with them, but that's who I need them. And as soon as Becky's available and those reports are available, she'll have that conversation. I already had that discussion with her. So, because there's numbers that I don't have that she will.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Yeah.
One of the questions I had on that whole thing was, the numbers that Justin sent out to Kevin and I for days served on these 6 counties, I crunched those numbers, and when I come up with, it looks like our average for the past 3 years for all 6 counties, total inmates per day for the 6 counties is about 3.3 or to 3.6 inmates per day. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm trying to figure out how we can justify doing a bunch of stuff with these other counties when if all they have is 3 to 4 inmates total, where are these numbers coming from? I mean, I can't imagine a county that has an average of a half an inmate or 1.2 inmates per year is gonna wanna spend $50,000 a year towards bricks and mortar and a contract. So that's where I'm having a problem trying to figure out, unless the numbers that we got from Justin aren't right on the total days served, but he gave us numbers days served, and they aren't even remotely close to what I was under the impression that we were getting between 8 and 10 inmates from these other 6 counties every day, and we're not even remotely close to that.
And I guess, the reasoning for my proposal on that, we're a regional facility by default, so they're already using us already. And I guess for them to save on that travel, they're small agencies like mine are, like my agency is. Having those officers be able to do a quick turnaround and keep them in remote vicinity of their county or their jurisdiction, I mean, as much as the time as possible, and that creates this. So I mean, it's a, to me, that's a win for them than putting their officer on the road and depleting their law enforcement force, because that's what happens during the transport times. You're looking at 3-4 hours for those guys. So I don't wanna gouge these guys to where we don't have the revenue, because the revenue is important for this jail, it's important for the county. Regardless, I mean, the US Marshals have been 65, at 65. The highest dollar rate that we've been able to negotiate so far was at 75, which I rejected, and those three proposals. I am trying to get them up to that 95. I think because of the convenience and the security of that agency being able to keep their law enforcement in close vicinity and not having put them 4 hours away. I think that is a huge benefit. That's why I came up with 50. I didn't want to, actually I thought if we went over 50, I thought we were overreaching. I thought we were overreaching already when Commissioners Schlomer and Holgard brought up, the 100 to 225, 250,000. I thought we were overreaching. Because I know those numbers are low, they're not anywhere close to what ours are. But we talked about everybody having skin in the game, and this is what I thought was most feasible at the time, that's why I put the numbers together. And it's still, and I don't know those numbers, and me and Kevin talked, and I could be totally wrong on that, $300,000 a year on interest. I could be way off, but I don't think that's, if we did the 7, what's that? We're gonna have an extra $2.1 million tacked onto that bill of paying paying whatever number it is, 6 or 7 million off. I don't know that number because we don't know the interest, but if that's true, that adds up fast. But like I said, this was the most comfortable number that I thought that we could actually go to these guys with, these 6 counties that I'm talking about. And they may not be agreeing to it. I don't know, I haven't met with them. Some may not be able to do it at all. Dewey County, I don't know. and that's one of the 6 that comes here. But do we negotiate backward if they're comfortable with 30? Do I bring them in at 30 and charge the other ones 50? I mean, where do,
We was trying to go by what everybody's average daily rate was and figure out what it's actually costing per person for daily rate. Our numbers are a lot different than what Josh is. And I was using the example, okay, here's a $20 ribeye, but I'm gonna give it to you for $4, and I'm gonna give it to you for $6. And Walworth County still picks up the rest of it. That's what I disagree with, that why is it Walworth County's responsibility for all these other counties' inmates? I just have a hard time fathoming that. But it's your decision. And we do need to make a decision on it because it is budget time and we need to decide how much money we are gonna stick into this building.
Well, I guess I'm hoping you guys come up with some figure you can bring us that's like soon.
I mean, what's your, I mean, is my plan off the wall, for lack of a better term, Mr. Chairman?
I mean,
Or is it something, does that look feasible to you? Does that look workable, or, I mean, that's what we need to decide.
To me, that's where we were kinda talking when we first brought this up 3 years ago. I guess that's where it was at, was around that $30,000. And that's where we had talked,
But if we're gonna put bricks and mortar into it, the 30,000 was for operations only.
right,
I
Plus
mean,
dailies.
If you take a look at, it's costing, this year it's costing 1.1 million for the budget for the jail. We got 6 counties that are gonna put 30,000 in, that's 180,000. Does that come anywhere close to 1.1 million? Who's got the rest of the burden? Walworth County does. That's where we're getting at. If we're gonna have all these other counties help us out and do all this stuff, make it fair to everybody. Come up with a number that is fair to everybody, and I will go along with it in a heartbeat.
see, back when we were doing that, it was, I remember
And now we're
exactly.
gonna throw in a $6 million facility. The 20,000 won't even make the interest payments. So there's more money that's tacked on to Walworth County.
Because when we were discussing, it was within, for a lot of counties, not just 6 counties when we were first talking. I mean,
Yeah, we're just talking 20-some counties or,
I think it was 18, I think.
Yeah.
That's where that figure was coming, we were working that figure, the 30,000, I know it was, because we were at a lot of counties.
Yeah, I believe we went and visited with more than that. I mean, I talked with several of them over the phone, but, and trying to gain the North Dakota ones back. I mean, which we still get, we're utilized once in a while, but that's,
But it's really-
again, when bed space is a crunch on it, on North Dakota side, they call and ask if a bed's available. But yes, I mean, the decision lies with this board.
Mr. Chairman, it's Marion
Yes.
again. I'm sorry, kinda in and out here. I just got out of the hospital with my wife here, so, one of the questions I've got to the board is, we're talking about this money up front, and to me, that's the only way possible that we can even consider doing this, is looking at a new building. But if we go this route, I think what Kevin is saying there with the $50,000, when we looked at the days served by these other counties, to me, if I'm sitting on the commission from these other counties and we're asking for $50,000 when our actual expenditure for our inmate cost for the year on these other counties is $10,000 to $20,000, why am I going to do that? And one of the things that I'm concerned about is if we can get 6 counties to do this and get $50,000 a county, that's $300,000. We're barely scratching the interest on a loan of $6 million. Now we've got the payment for the building, we've got an operation cost that's never gonna go down, and we don't have anything figured into the whole facility as far as the maintenance program. So when you put all those numbers together, here we are, Walworth County is going to just get totally inundated with dollars that it's gonna cost us to run this new jail facility. So my point is, if it's gonna cost the county that much money, and we know what our average is for 10 to 11 inmates, we can't afford to put a jail up. It's way cheaper for us to transport our inmates.
What are you two thinking?
I agree we can't afford a jail. And I think we could fix these up to make them work and get our BIA back in federal and get some revenue going. Down the road, 5-year plan 7, we had some money put away to help us build a new one, if need. But I think we should go after some revenue and use our old jail.
But I will be honest, I've been up on the old part. I'll be honest, that ain't even safe for anybody that works there to go up there, let alone a prisoner. That, to me, as far as I'm concerned, that should never, ever, ever be holding. That's just how bad that is, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if anybody could disagree with me on that. That's a death trap, walking up them stairs. I mean, I know Dwayne did it for years, but it's,
You have to use it.
it's,
We use it for overflow right now.
bad.
We use it for overflow right now, and we also segregate some if somebody has a medical issue and they need to be segregated and put by themselves. You can't penalize them and put them like in a holding cell or a drink tank. You have to give them the same amenities. So yeah, then the upstairs is used, for that. It is used for overflow for those purposes because how the building's constructed.
Jim, what's your opinion?
It has been spoken many times over the last 4 years. We've had so many people, our state's attorney is one of them, said we cannot afford to be without a jail. It's gonna cost Walworth County $1.1 million if we don't take any out-of-county inmates in to handle our own. Anyone we can take in offsets that. If we can take them in for $10 a day, that's money in our pocket. We aren't, this board, I don't believe is ever gonna build a new jail, because we can't get together on it. I think we need to fix this one and run it, like David says, for 4 or 5 years until we can get a plan put together. We're right back where we were at 4 years ago when I walked into this room. But we cannot be without a jail. There's too many, if there was just the 10 inmates, maybe, but there's so many other things, mental cases, bad weather, numerous things that if we're gonna run this here for temporary, we just will run it full time.
Jim, why is it right for why is it right for the US Marshals and the BIA to be being able to pay less money than out of county?
I didn't say it's right. I did not negotiate that. That was done years ago.
My point is, why is there any negotiation? Why is it even a question? Here's what we're going to charge you. $95 is what everybody else is paying, that's what you're gonna pay. That should be the negotiation.
And one of the things is that when they bring them in, they're there 7 days a week, right?
They're a constant number, correct?
Right, where the other ones aren't. So they
Right.
know that income's coming in. So
Right.
I guess that's the reason they're a little cheaper, I would think.
And that's gonna be where the majority of our income is gonna come from, places like that. Like Burley County used to be your marshals or BIA, not from these other small counties like Campbell County and Potter County. They aren't gonna help pay for a jail. It's gonna be the US Marshal are the ones with bigger numbers.
Marion, again, you made the comments earlier that you said that the US Marshals would not put any money towards brick and mortar?
Correct. We're negotiating a daily rate.
Is there a avenue or a, oh, I don't know what the right word would be, but somebody else, a different person to contact as far as looking at different options that way as far as getting money for brick and mortar?
You mean through the marshals or through anybody?
Well, I'm talking through the US Marshal. I mean, is there a different avenue or a different area that we need to be talking to instead of the US Marshal person that you're talking to?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I'm just questioning because it seems like they need the bed space more than anybody. And therefore, why are they not willing to put some dollars towards bed space? Instead of trying to come in and rent space for less money than what the local county people are paying.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. I know Hughes County built a brand new one and they're contracted for 83 with a new facility there. So I don't know what to tell you.
I do understand if they're bringing inmates here and they're here for longer periods of time. I understand that maybe, that may be why you give them a little bit different, a little cheaper rate because they're here for a longer period of time. But I'm just struggling with the fact that we are going out and asking these other counties for $95 a day, and yet U.S. Marshals bring the guys here and we give it to them for $65 right now. And I just think that's just totally wrong.
So Kevin, you don't think that it's gonna, to put a figure together to try to go to the other 6 counties?
If it can be fair, and we can show that we're coming anywhere close to being fair, I'm all for it. But I haven't seen anything that comes anywhere close to being fair yet.
John, I think one of the things that we looked at when we got the numbers from Justin here was the fact that going back to that whole day served thing with these 6 counties, when you're looking at the average from and then I'm trying to dig through my stuff to find my paperwork, but when you're looking for the average of these 6 counties, the numbers, the days served, and based on the numbers that we got from Justin, again, it's 3.83 inmates per day for all 6 counties. So Sioux County, as an example, has an average of 5.59 inmates for the last 3 years. Potter County is 0.34 inmates per year for the last 3 years. Corson County is 1.52 inmates per day per year for the last 3 years. So you take and average that out, $95 per day per inmate. Well, who's gonna wanna spend $50,000? It doesn't even come close to what they're currently paying.
Well, I guess we always looked at it back then, it was gonna guarantee them a spot there, is what, I guess that's how I was looking at it.
Which if we had 20 counties, that would make a big difference. We're looking
And I
at
know
6
that's-
counties
I know
now,
that's what we based it off of right away, was,
20 counties. And yes, if we had 20 counties, we would be a lot closer and it would be a little more, we could readjust that number to get more fair to everybody. But we go back to BIA and US Marshals are not gonna pay that. So is it fair? I don't think it's fair.
well, we could sit here all day long, but that's what we decided to do, was try to work something out, and I guess that's what we gotta do, is work something out. I mean, if you guys come up with a figure to take to them other counties, and they say no, well, then we know where we're at.
Well,
I guess that's what I'm saying.
That's why we still need to work, try to get
Right.
something put together, but we need to decide what we're gonna do with this building for budget. That's a bigger issue right now than what the actual dollar amount is, because that's gonna go back and forth for another year. We need to decide how much money we're gonna stick into this building.
Well, I think we need to decide if the other counties are even gonna
We
gonna
won't-
say,
We won't even have an idea on that until after our budget is completely done, and we probably won't have an answer with the other counties until after the first of the year.
well, I think we could try to figure out something that we could take to the other counties. Now is the time to ask them. If it's even a figure that they could even think of is gonna work for them.
Okay, let's throw out 50,000 and give them Josh's deal, and let's get the answer back from these 6 counties. And I bet you when at least 5 of them come back and say no, then we can decide what we're gonna do with this building then.
Yeah, I think that's what we've wanted here, is to put a little package together, what we think, and present it to them other counties, them 6 counties.
I'm sure if we do it right now, the answer is gonna be an overwhelming no, and I'm fine with that, at least we know.
Well,
Put it out there.
It may be a no with our 30,000 too, you know, that number's not set in stone. I mean, I don't know that that's the right number, but like I said,
Let's put out,
I think
Okay.
that's the number you guys should work with, and talk to the other counties and just see what they do say.
do you wanna
There's
work
no
on
way
it?
there's no way we're gonna know this if
Do
we
you want
don't
it straight
ask.
across the board, or do you wanna work on it a per county basis? Because we know Corson County utilizes this one.
I'm not one of them that believes that there should be any deals. That's how I look at it. I just don't think it's right. I think if it's Campbell County or Dewey County, everybody should be treated the same.
Okay.
So I think that in my eyes, that figure, you should use one
Straight
for
across the
all.
board.
Yep. But that's my opinion. I don't know how you guys look at it, but I don't know how you can sit there and say this guy can get it for this. I think it should be straight across. Everybody should be treated the same.
if they go over the 30,000, then they're gonna pay more anyway, because they're gonna anything over the 30,000 for the operational part, we're gonna have to pay the 95 for anyway,
Correct.
in addition to the 50,000.
Correct.
So let's put it out there, when everybody brings it back
So
negative,
do you want the,
then we'll have an answer.
you want the 50 or the 30 in?
I think you should do it just like how you're doing it.
Okay.
How you wanna present it, at their meetings or what?
I'll
I
have to
think
go,
it should be.
I'll go meet with the, I think we'll need to meet with the boards and the sheriffs from that entity.
Because if we don't know how the other counties are sitting, we can sit here and talk for months. If we don't present something to them, how are we gonna know?
No, I understand that.
And that's like there's a survey, they don't know either, you know, like Sioux County, the 1 year was way higher because they had a pipeline protest going on, so that was elevated. Normally, it's less than that.
All right?
Okay.
Let's do it that way then. Okay, you got a couple more things, Josh?
My deputy position has been filled. I hired Cato East to start at $17.80 an hour with 50-cent increases at probation and upon certification and licensure. Like I said, there didn't get many applicants. He is out of my jail, so it's a transfer out of the jail. He's already an employee with the county. So most of the paperwork's already done. He's just transferring over to the sheriff's office side.
Okay.
He is with the guards. So I mean, he's got 10 years of military experience, so happy with him so far. He was a good employee in the jail. We hated him to pull him out of there, but it is what it is. We're gaining a good employee on the sheriff's office side also. So, and I think he's gonna work out well. And I'm just asking for that starting wage to be approved at $17.80 with those increments. And I wanted to state those on the record so everybody's aware where those increments came from and why.
Okay, I'll need a motion for that.
I so moved.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Got a second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
The other one that we added, I sent an email out, and most everybody should have received it, and Scott did. That's the one that you guys added to the agenda. Don Connect, he's been doing part-time work for me since the chief of police of this police department for City of Selby was dissolved. He was never increased. He was started out at I think 17 and always stayed there. I would like to get him up to where at least where Cato's going to be for a licensed certified officer, which will be the 1880.
Okay, I need a motion for that.
So,
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion on that?
I guess I don't understand why, where's he at now, 17? Or where's he at now?
Can you grab that?
I think it's 17 or 1740, remember.
1752.
Okay, 1752, and you want to take them to 1880. We got how many other employees in different departments that have already asked for a raise, and we haven't done nothing with them too. So you want to set a precedence and have everybody put in for raises now, and if we approve one, we're gonna have to approve them all. You got landfill people, you have highway people that are asking for the same thing. What precedence do you want to set? If we approve one, we're gonna have to approve them all. And some are asking for 22% increases.
Josh, what is the
And this is a
guy that
part-time.
you're trying to get the increase for, what's his require, or what's his, background and experience?
He's the ex-police chief for city of Selby. They dissolved their agency. He wanted to keep his licensure up, and I utilize him part-time for events and fill in while I've been short. So I would at least, that's where Cato's gonna be at when he gets through with probation and his certification. Mr. Connect is already licensed.
Cato will be full-time?
Cato's full-time, correct. Don does not get any benefits. And that's already and like I said, otherwise my full-time guy's gonna, and I try to keep that starting wage the same.
So if he
And
goes,
Mr. Connect is behind the 8 ball on it.
okay, so if he goes to 1880, all of a sudden we give everybody 3% raise, where's he at then?
Well, if you did that in January, I would assume that he'd get that.
Okay, so then he's way above 1880. Now getting back to the other thing, we have the same situation on the highway department. We have a part-time that hasn't got a raise since he started, other than the ADP. He's asking for a raise.
Hey, I'm just asking.
That's what I'm saying. Here's the precedence. You wanna give everybody that asks for a raise and increase, or, I thought that's what the,
He's got the same, he's got, and no different than if you're gonna use the highway department employee, as an example, I didn't or not, but Mr. Connect's required to do the same thing. He's required to have the same hours of research hours and training hours. There's nothing else. He does the same job. He's got the patrol function. He does everything that a full-time officer's gonna do, a full-time deputy's gonna do. Respond to the crashes and calls. That's what that function's for. But yes, it's,
it was take a vote on it.
I guess what I was gonna say too is that, he's gonna be getting another 3%, so I guess, I'm not so sure that 1780 isn't probably where it should be, I guess, for a part-time person, is what I'm getting at. I'm not talking about a full-time person. Anything else? Now I'll go roll call. Jim?
Yes.
David? Kevin?
No.
Marion?
No.
I'll vote no. Motion failed. Anything else, Josh?
Nope.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go back to you, Jim, after that. I think this must be, you Scott,
Yes,
come up.
thank you. Sure. Brought 10 copies of Dane North, and I have not.
You got plenty.
You could leave one for Commissioner Schlomer, I think would be a good idea. Sure, that's fine. Anybody else interested in this, you certainly can look at that too. Thank you for seeing me today, Commissioners. I'm Scott Amundson with the Governor's Office of Economic Development. I'm the Community Development Rep for the northeast part of South Dakota, which my region is 26 counties, basically from here all the way to Minnesota and along Huron and Brookings North. So I'm here today to talk about a new program that's going to enhance our livestock development throughout the state. Our Governor's Office has the same core values that most economic development programs have, and that's help businesses create and save good paying jobs, enhance, grow, and diversify the tax base, and improve the quality of life for the residents of South Dakota. Prior to me joining the GOAD, I was the economic development guy up in Britain in Marshall County for about 9.5 years, so I used to meet with my county commissioners regularly and give them updates, and I always know some of the rural challenges in South Dakota as far as funding, and they're looking at a new courthouse now up there, and they're receptive to livestock development in Marshall County with dairies and feedlots, so I have yet to see them yet. This is a very new program. Our office structure, as you can see, we have finance and research, we have the marketing department, we service loans and provide grants. We invited the agriculture business development reps to join our business development reps, simply because of the fact that we want to raise and elevate production ag in South Dakota. So, and then we have 3 of us community development that usually provide the outreach from the Governor's Office, as well as work closely with economic development groups throughout our state. That's kind of my role. So Governor Nome and Commissioner Westra have recognized that ag is a huge impact in South Dakota. Production ag, value added, and precision ag. Governor Nome has shown her commitment to this, and GOAD is committed to the growth of this industry. So back in 2013, the legislature passed a thing called the Sales and Use Tax Rebate Program. It's basically mostly been used for manufacturing and some wind energy projects. How that works, as an example, if the manufacturer that's either coming to South Dakota or growing in South Dakota was to purchase $10 million of new equipment, 4.5% of that is taxed, of course, with that equipment, and we would use that as a tool to incentivize them to grow or stay in South Dakota and negotiate a portion of that back to that manufacturer as an incentive. It's one of the few tools that we have in our toolbox in South Dakota because of our tax base and several programs that compete against Minnesota and Iowa and other surrounding states. So livestock development is, like I said, being elevated by the governor and is also certainly a targeted industry in South Dakota. 22 of 67 counties in South Dakota do not have zoning, so that this will not pertain to them, and I'll get to that in a second. You do, but there's several around you that do not. What will qualify in this project is anything that will require an approval of a conditional use permit through you, of course, and add livestock to the state. Those are the 2 triggers. That could be feedlots, hog units, poultry, dairies, aquaculture, things like that. So this program is going to function similar to that as the previous example of manufacturing. The business would apply through our office, and they would assign the sales and use tax directly to the county as a condition of the program. Once the project is complete, at the finish line, the county, rather than the manufacturer, would receive those dollars with no strings attached. So that could be a solution for a new jail like they're looking at in Britain and Marshall County, or a new fire truck, or fixing roads or bridges, or whatever you deem fit. And it's not gonna be, I wanna tell you this, it cannot change the control that the county has. You still have to follow the same zoning and regulations and comp plans. It can't be a factor in you approving or denying this. It's a critical feature, but in the end of the day, for those counties that see it as a good fit, that could be a reward or icing on the cake for that. But I urge you, and I think your state's attorney will say that too, as well as the planning district, that we want to do the behind the scenes work with the developer on behalf of the county. So if a project like this goes south, or a lawsuit prevails, or if there's any improprieties or unethical, it should not be on your hands. You should not have your fingerprints on the project. You should still follow the same protocol through your zoning and approval process. Does that make sense at all? Okay, let me give you that same example. If that same $10 million project was to land in Walworth County, that $450,000 that was taxed on the equipment or the building materials or whatever portion of that is taxable would go directly to you, 100% of it, not a negotiated amount. And that would be at the end of the day, through our office, through the developer, signing an affidavit, the Department of Revenue would issue a check to you in the end, at the finish line. I'll give you a real life example. Our first application was from a dairy out east. I'd rather not say the name of the county, but you could probably find this out. It was a $50 million dairy. 30 million of it was taxable with equipment and building materials and so forth. That county stood to make 1.3 million at the end of the day if it was approved. But it was not, because they found a well too close to the project, and DENR was involved, and they did the right thing by denying it. But now that same dairy is looking at other counties, that will be a good fit for them. But that's just a good example how you still need to follow the right policy and procedures and protocol to approve or deny if you feel that livestock development is a good fit for Walworth County. If you do not, it doesn't matter to me at all. I'm just bringing this to you as an option, like I said, some counties, and I know some of the other ones that I service, are absolutely against it. You know, their taxpayers and their stakeholders do not want any part of it, and that's fine. That's up to them. But if you see it as a good fit for your county, and we know there's lots of projects that are around us, it could be very beneficial. There will be no extra work on the county's part. There's no strings attached to funds. And like I said, I always recommend those that have an economic development group that they could be a benefit of that as well, because when I did it in Britain, the county was a big part of my funding mechanism, and having a person on the ground helping surface projects like that can just benefit you in the long run. So how it would work is that if a project would surface in your county, the first call would have to be to our office, and Kyle Peters on the next page where that map is as your representative. That way you have no negative complications that could ever arise if you don't play a part of that. If you know of any project that surfaces in Walworth County, contact our office. We'll work with the developer to go through the proposal process. They still have to go through our Board of Economic Development to get approved. I'm guessing 98% of them will be, if it falls within the scope of this program, or if it's not illegal, right? But we need to have that proposal in process before you ever hear an application for a conditional use permit. That's kind of important to follow that process. And the company will, if you approve it after that point, and the company goes through their whole construction process, and they pay the sales and use tax at the end of the day, is when you'll reap those benefits. So like I said before, usually I come with my business development rep and the planning district. Either one of those can come today. So if you have any specific questions that they can't ask, I might have to get back to you on that. So, but I know for a fact, like Eric Singer and NECOG would be a great resource for you if you had questions on this. That map shows you in the blue, my region is the blue and the orange. Kyle in particular is in the blue, so if you have any questions, I would urge you to call that number or email him as your BD rep. But it's really important that you understand maintaining local control is high priority to us. We do not want this to be a negative thing for the county in any aspect. If it's a good fit, great. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine too. It's just all about those counties that want to see livestock development grow in South Dakota. So, same regulation applies through your permitting process. The DENR is involved, your ordinances and comp plans. Developer and the GOD will work together, there's no work for the county, but it really should not be a contributing factor for your denying or approving a conditional use permit. So, it's one-time money, but it has long-term economic development benefits, in my opinion, as far as growing the tax base, creating jobs, putting butts in schools, you know. Sometimes it's a trailing spouse job, so, you know, looking at it from an economic development standpoint, if I was still doing what I did before in Marshall County, I would be in favor of it. I will bet you dimes to donuts that Marshall County is gonna be in favor of it. There's no minimum size of a project or maximum, it could be 1 million, it could be 100 million, and there's no job creation component. For some of our programs do have a certain, comes out of different buckets of money based on how many jobs it creates and things like that. So, if you have any other questions, we have a really good website, it's called SD Ready to Partner, and we have archived webinars. And they're free to watch, you just click on that, and if you want to see Joe did this whole presentation deeper than I just did in 10 minutes, I would invite you to do that. That's all I really have. Yes, sir.
How would that work if say, this egg producer, or this livestock producer comes in, part of it is in one county, part of it is in another county? How would you split up the funds?
That's a great question, and I would have to probably defer to the planning district on how that would work, but I could get back to you on that, Commissioner, if you want me to. I don't know that answer, I haven't been asked that question before.
Or does the entire project have to fit inside of one county?
I'll call Eric, and I'll have Eric contact the commissioners if that's
I was
okay.
just curious.
That's a great
We-
question.
we don't
I've never
have
heard that
any-
before.
As far as I know, we don't have anything on the table right now, but
Can I ask this, has Walworth County in the past been conducive to these kind of projects, or they?
we have taken a look at some.
Sure. I would urge you highly to, like I said,
Because the one that we did have was right on the county line,
okay, interesting.
like one pig farm down south was right on the county line, so.
When I was in economic development in Britain, the Department of Ag did a thing called a county site analysis. Are you familiar with that at all? They went into all of our counties in South Dakota and looked at all the townships and kind of highlighted which ones were good, better, and best as far as like infrastructure and roads and wastewater and all that stuff. And I know, like I said, there's one county, it's got a web water moratorium, that's not gonna work for them. So if they're gonna need a major facility with a lot of wastewater, they're probably not gonna get approved. So, but, you know I'm on record, but I know when I was working with Marshall County all those years, they begged me to find money to help build them a new courthouse, and I couldn't do that over those years, but something like this could be, it shouldn't be the incentive, but it could be in the end a contributing positive factor. Does that make sense? You just still gotta be above board and be ethical and follow the right procedures. But the governor wants it known that she wants to reward the counties that wanna help her raise livestock development in South Dakota.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
Good. You gotta be careful on the legal side of it, is all I'm trying to urge you, and that's what the state's attorneys and planning districts say. So if you keep your hands clean, if you hear of any kind of project, throw it to us, let us work with them behind the scenes. You still follow the same protocol. I think that's really important.
Alrighty.
Nice to meet you all. Thanks for
Thank
your
you,
time.
thank you.
Anybody like, I got 2 copies, I have more in the car if anybody's interested.
We're gonna take a 5-minute break right now. Jamie, we're gonna jump back up to 17, discussion regarding request for mulberry.
Sure. What happened is, it had been on the calendar for a couple of meetings and no one was here to really discuss it, so I just contacted the police department to find out what it is. Basically, part of their duties is the nuisance abatement or code enforcement. And so what they've started to do is with people who have
Marion, are you still on?
I am.
Okay.
people who have debris, nuisances, things like that, it's either the city or the police department are paying for the rollaway, and then the person fills the rollaway with their debris in order to get rid of it. And what they were going to ask us is if we would waive our tipping fee for that particular rollaway. They said it would probably be 1 or 2 times a year. And this is just something that they've just started as part of them taking over code enforcement and cleaning up problem properties within the city. So what they're asking for is to waive tipping fees on those program dumps.
Well, we made a tipping fee on that.
It depends on what they throw out, whether it's rubble, whether it's
I
garbage.
think it would be, everything that we can put in our landfill would be in that rollaway.
How much weight?
Probably, what's a rollaway of trash cost, or weight?
Just a 20-ton.
They vary. Some of them we charge 200 and something for, some of them 70. It depends on the weight, what it is.
Most of it's gonna be trash, yard debris, trash. Things like
Washers
that.
and dryers.
Washers and dryers, yeah, all that stuff that would be,
And everything's got a different cost.
What's the commission feel like?
The money that the police department, are they putting that against the property?
this is people who have no assets. So they're doing it as a way of helping them remove their eyesore.
Pretty much to clean up, the way I look at it.
Yeah, pretty much to clean up the city.
Yes.
What Al Boley had said to me was, these are people that did not have any access to any vehicles or anything during county cleanup days. And so they're putting it right in their yard, and it's to help clean up the city. And instead of putting assessments on their properties for nuisance property, they're just gonna help them get rid of it.
I know of one of them, and it worked. Probably half full.
And
But it
basi-
helps the city.
and basically, rather than being confrontational, which usually doesn't accomplish anything, they're trying to be more helpful. And this is part of that.
I think it's pretty good.
I guess how I look at it is, I don't have a problem with it, I guess, as long as it doesn't get stretched out where it's one a month or something like that, I just don't think, then it wouldn't be fair to
I know,
everybody
Tom.
else if it get out of hand like that. I guess I think there should be a,
Limited at
A
3 a
limit.
year. They were thinking maybe 1 to 3 a year is what they're looking at.
I guess personally, I wouldn't have a problem with that, I guess. What's the rest of you feel?
I wouldn't have a problem, I guess that's a question, are we gonna do it with other towns then?
I'm guessing if
And
they request it, I'm
Is that
guessing.
going to encourage some of them to just sit around and wait, well, they'll bring us a roll off if we wait long enough and it won't cost
So
us,
you gotta qualify for
do they?
My understanding is it's people who don't have, that are number one, willing to cooperate in the first place,
it.
and number two, they don't have any means of removing the property to the landfill or anything like that. So it's like, okay, help us help you. You fill the roll away and we'll get rid of it then. Isn't that kind of what you understand, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, if it gets out of hand, just cut it off.
That's just what I was gonna say, I mean, if you're not in no contract with anything, if it looks like it's getting out of hand, I mean, then just,
Do you know anything about it, Marion, or heard anything?
I don't, sorry, I haven't heard anything about it. I was just gonna ask, Becky, what she thought of the idea, I mean, as far as, now we're not talking, if we're talking 2 or 3 dumpsters, we're talking maybe $800 a year, maybe $1,000 a year. So I guess that would be, do you feel as far as the landfill manager out there, as far as, is that something that's a big deal to us there, or?
I think that we should give it a try and see what it ends up consisting of. I mean, we can always put a stop to it. I mean, it's really not much different than the cleanup week. You know, we take it all then,
Right?
it's just these people have no vehicles and no ways to get it out there, so the only issue we might run into is other entities wanting to do it. However, the police positive cleanup project has funds that were given to them to pay for the cost of the roll-off, where other entities might not have that.
And I think they got the money from people, part of their police positive program was we'll take junk vehicles. So they got like 20 junk vehicles turned over to them, and I think then they crushed them, and I think that's where they're using it. The money is coming for the rollaways.
Then you have to go through the police department.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
my concern with the whole thing, as a building contractor, when you have a dumpster sitting on a job site, it's amazing how people find those dumpsters. So I guess I'm concerned about it from the standpoint, not so much of trying to help out these people, but as much as other leases will take and run around and say, oh, there's a dumpster, let's throw our garbage in there.
Well, I guess we'll have to see what it does, I guess, and see if that happens, which probably will a little bit, but maybe they'll patrol it a little bit.
Yeah, if the police department can control it, great, but as a building contractor, like you said, having a dumpster on a job site, it's amazing the stuff that gets thrown in your dumpster. You just pull up there one day and the next day there's a whole bunch of stuff that, where did this come from?
So if you want to approve that, what you would need is a motion to waive the tipping fees for the police positive program for a number not to exceed, say, 4 rollaways or whatever.
Yes, I'll need a motion for that.
Do you want to should we set a number?
3 or 4, I would think. I think that would be.
How about
great.
4?
Okay.
So we'll waive the tipping fees for up to 4 rollaways for the City of Mobridge Police Positive Program. So that would be my suggestion for the motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion on that?
Are they gonna have to separate anything in there?
Possibly. There's appliances, those have to be separated out, tires. Just depends on what's in there.
Yeah, maybe we can get them to the police and tell them they can't put those in there.
Well, I guess it's on a trial basis. I said, well, I guess let's just cross that bridge when it gets here. We'll see how bad it is, or maybe it'll be real good and it'll be positive. Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right?
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed. 21, landfill reports. Anybody got any questions?
This was March. April, May, June.
Becky, I'm just printing the stuff off here. I thought I had it all printed, but I just one. So printing it, and I don't know, maybe it's coming in the printing that I've got, but have we got, where are we sitting with Standing Rock right now?
As of the end of June, it is at 74,520.44.
Are they still under a bring a check when they bring a load?
They are currently bringing $20,000 check at the end of every month, or they don't dump.
Okay.
But when I first started with them in March, they owed 111. Since then, I've received $80,000 from them.
Is that 20,000 in addition to what they currently owe per month?
Nope, it's 20,000.
In other words, they put a little under $5,000 towards their,
In June, yes,
in their balance.
because June was, my months go a little different out there, and it was 5 weeks. And so normally their months are around 9,000, 9 to 13. But June was a bigger month.
In May, they'd be put in a little under 6,000 towards their bill.
I mean, if you'd like, I can cut them off and tell them we need 25 or 30. I don't know if they'll be able to do that, but.
Well, I would think with the policy we passed last meeting that it's gonna be a high priority on their part to start getting this paid down.
Do you think you guys should try to ask for a little more, or what do you?
I think that's
know
up
what
to
you're
them.
saying.
What is it paying interest next year?
Huh?
Interest starts next year, is that right?
That's
When
close.
was that? In November.
It's collected quite a bit in a short period of time too, though, but I agree they should pay
Effective
April.
October 1, so they would be paying interest November 1.
Do you feel like we should try to ask for a little more?
I think it's up to them. We're not babysitters.
I know that.
I think that's up to them to determine how they're gonna get their account paid.
But I mean, they'll get cut off if they, what I'm saying. Do you want to ask for more every time that check? I mean, it'd be nice if they wrote a check out for 74,000. That would be nice.
We're gonna have to hear pretty soon.
I have haulers sit at the scale until that check gets out there every month.
I don't know that it's up to us to, we've made it, in my mind, very clear that what's gonna happen if they're not current, the 1st of November. So I would say the ball's in their court, in several of them, to be current by the 1st of November.
All right, is there anything else with the landfill reports? I will move on to discussion and voting of county commissioners assistant.
I would like to see us put it in the budget next year to hire a commissioner's assistant. What Ryan has done for us in the past, it has tremendously helped us, and I think we could very easily use an assistant. I would like to see it put in the budget for next year.
What's the commissioners feel about this?
I don't know how we can afford it, so. And I don't know if it's necessary.
Well, there's no doubt what, the stuff that Ryan was doing was, I don't think you'll find a commissioner throughout South Dakota that would know all the stuff that Ryan was doing. It's just, that's just how it is. I mean,
Kevin, what were you thinking as far as the position, responsibilities? Were you thinking trying to take over some of the medical or the health insurance stuff, or?
Well, all the health insurance stuff, looking for grants. I was thinking that they could oversee the billing from the jail to make sure it's all billed up properly as far as the medical part of it, to relieve what Brenda was doing. In my opinion, I think it'd be great to have an outsider, not part of the department, to oversee it. If we're gonna be doing checks and balances on all departments. And right now, we don't have anybody to basically oversee any of the department head meetings or anything like that, so. That's what I was thinking.
yes, Jamie.
I think the department head meetings have kind of ended since our last one went south. we haven't had one, so I don't think there's any intention of continuing to do that. Also, you need to make sure, like I said before, some of the things that you're requesting as part of your commissioner's assistant, you do not have the authority to give them that power. Especially hiring and firing of elected officials, employees, or disciplining them, you don't have that authority. Also, that's why you already have department heads to take care of a lot of that. So, that's my 2 cents.
I never had said anything about hiring and firing.
Yes, you did, when you first started, you did, saying that they would have the power to hire and fire people. That's when I corrected you and said with elected people's employees, you don't have that authority.
That was other counties that I was basing it off of.
Well, that's what I was just saying, is I was correcting your misinformation that you received.
Well, I guess I would have to wonder where would we try to get the money from, is what I mean, there's no, to me, there's no doubt, I mean, just in the time I've been here where I can see where it helped. 'Cause there's just a lot of stuff that doesn't get done.
There's a lot of things that haven't been getting done.
Davis,
Yes.
Go ahead, Marion.
Is Brenda still doing the medical stuff for the jail?
No,
Okay, that was a huge, she saved us a ton of money in that area. And I'm just thinking if we could put this individual in charge of some of that, if we've got this, deal, we're gonna keep this jail going, that's gonna be to me, that's a huge dollar savings that she did there with that area.
What she saved us would pay for the wage of it. That alone.
the jail staff.
Yes,
Yes.
What's his position gonna be paid?
I was thinking, what some of the department heads are getting. Somewhere in that vicinity.
And we've taken that billing back, and we're doing, working with Brenda, we've been doing the medical billing and, getting the same discounts. We weren't aware of those procedures before. Those procedures have been implemented, so I mean, those duties are being performed by the jail administrator at this time. So, the prescription and medical. So I just want to let the commission know that.
And Davis,
I don't think we got the money to do it. Put it to work some other place.
Depending on what we decide what we're gonna do with the jail, we'd have 500,000. We'd have 40,000 for this position, put 300,000 into roads, and everybody would be a lot happier. Well, not everybody, the majority would be happier.
Marion, what's your thinking on it?
Well, I guess, I haven't been around with the commission that long to realize all the different things that Ryan did. I know that he did a lot of, stuff with grants, did a lot of stuff with the things that helped, county as a whole. That I don't know that any of us commissioners are, knowledgeable enough about any of that stuff that if you're not doing it 24/7, that you are aware of some of those programs either. So, I mean, I also understand if the dollars coming up the dollars to put another position in there, is definitely a concern, but if the billing and stuff right now is underneath the police department for everything, and it's being handled correctly, great. I'm just seeing a total conflict in the numbers that are coming out of the sheriff's department and the jail department with some of the numbers that nothing's matching up with what is actually happening. So I guess that's some of the concern I've got with, you know, is it actually getting done correctly?
Well, going off that statement, and I've asked this board for a full-time secretary, administrative assistant to help with those duties to rectify a lot of those issues. I'm part of the three-man agency. I respond to calls just like the deputies do, so I cannot be in there all day, every day. I mean, there's a lot of times I'm out on the road. My office is my car, so I understand the comment, but, until I have that availability to me to properly maintain someone in that position, things are gonna be all over the place. And unfortunately, that's where we're at. But, I mean, it is tough for that person to get it done in 20 hours.
Yes, Jamie?
I think all of the duties that you're asking and this is just my personal opinion, I'm not gonna speak for any other department heads, I'm just speaking for myself personally, and some of my employees. All of the duties that you're asking that commissioner's assistant to do could be done by the department heads. At least as me as a department head, after the last blow up we had and the fact that there was no support with regard to our issues, I think a lot of people backed off. I know I did. My attitude was if you're not gonna believe what we say or not believe certain things or not support us, then why should we support you as a commission? That's my personal opinion. And I don't think there's any of these duties that department heads couldn't be done, but at least on my perspective as the elected state's attorney, there really isn't, there needs to definitely be some mending some things before that support. And that's one of the reasons why I pulled Brenda off. It's like, if you're not gonna support us, why should we support you? And that's the one reason why I said Brenda isn't doing that anymore then. Not necessarily because she didn't get her hours, it's like, if you're not gonna support us and things that we have and our views and not believe us, then why should we support you? But that's my personal opinion.
I guess what I'm thinking of right now, Kevin, is I'm not sure where we could even bring the money from at this point in time. There's no question, I know what Ryan was doing, and Jamie could be right there too, but I'm just saying, I don't know where the money would come from. And that's the big thing. We've tried to cut here and there, and I don't think that the time is right.
I voiced my opinion, so I think we really need one.
Well, then I would take a motion, if that's what the commission feels, I would take a motion.
I will make a motion to approve hiring or putting it in the budget to hire a commissioned assistant for next year.
I got a motion on the floor, I need a second. I need a second. Motion failed, lack of second. Josh, did you want something?
I was just gonna ask, was that part-time or was it full-time that you guys were considering?
Full-time. Okay, we move on to 23. I take a motion to go into executive session. Got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Any old business?
What do you want to do?
New business? Hearing none, I take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion on the floor and a second. All in favor say aye. Motion passed.